In the spirit of complete transparency, I chose a fitness speaker for today because I knew what kind of summer I was going to have. Since Tim and I wrote this book, we've been collecting data about the 7 Fs. It's been fascinating. We use audience response technologies with telephones and things, and there are 3 themes that have emerged since day one. Number 1, good leaders who radiate goodness always, in a norm group, rate family as their highest, most satisfying. I find that to be fantastic. For me personally, the family this summer has been outstanding. 3 weeks ago, our son Ben got married, and it was a total family effort to make it happen. My 90-year-old father-in-law was there, my 81-year-old mom was there, and a whole bunch of new family members. It was outstanding. In addition to that, both of my daughters have been living at home this summer, and you know, our life is really, really full. I'll be very happy to see them go. But man, is it fun right now. So you know what? It's fantastic. Family. The second theme is that, without a doubt, every single time people tell us that finances is the part that's hardest to meet our own expectations. I suppose that works right now for me too. I'm still paying for college. We just paid for a wedding. We're trying to fund a couple of trips and things like that. And we got this business we're trying to grow. Yeah, finances. Sometimes it's hard to meet your own expectations. But the other one that's the most appropriate today, the third theme, is that without a doubt, every time we do 7S Wheel across a group like this, the lowest satisfaction is fitness. Normally, I button these coats. This is what 10 on Fun and Friends looks like after a summer. I'm super excited to introduce you to Chris Freytag. As if there's not enough positivity in this room, hold on to your seats. Yeah, we've had a really, almost a cosmic connection. I've met Chris several different times through the journey. I recently heard her about 1.5 years speak at my Rotary Club. And we started talking about 7 Fs, and it took a long time to align the calendars. But the idea that we could have her come and talk to us in August was just outstanding. When I see Chris, I see lots of things. I see a really successful mom. I see somebody who's got an awesome marriage partnership. I see an entrepreneur who's really invested very heavily in spreading her message very similar to the way we're doing it. If you Google her these days, you'll find gethealthyu.com. That's her creation. It's both an information site, and it's also a member site. People sign up and actually pay to see her help them through workouts in the morning. I think I need to be a member. So what I'm going to do now is introduce you to my friend Chris Freytag. Please join and welcome Chris.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Well, that was a great introduction. Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. This is a great group to speak to because you guys are energized. I mean, you're in the right frame of mind. I love it. And I don't usually hold notes, but normally my typical keynote is not about my path and what I've done. So I wrote a few things down, but truth be told, I can't really see it. So we'll see where that goes. But I'm really glad to be here. I have been intrigued with the 7 Fs ever since I met Paul and heard about the whole thing coming together. Because quite frankly, fitness is really just a part of health. Health is the umbrella. It's the umbrella that encompasses fitness. But you can work out all day long and not outrun a bad diet or a bad mindset. So I'm going to get a little bit into that after I tell you a little bit about how I got where I am today, whatever that might mean. I do want to ask you, though, as we were just doing that last table discussion, it was really interesting to me because something that I bring up in some of my keynotes is the concept of what you're going to be doing in your future, because health is your wealth. Without health, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I want to have a lot more years ahead of me, but I also want to make sure they're good years. Who agrees with me? 100% participation. Awesome. Okay, we want good years ahead of us. And I sometimes think, so I'm turning 52 in October, and I think, okay, so if I have 40 more years ahead of me, if I were to actually have 40 more years ahead of me, I want them to be good years. And that's a lot of living still to do. That would take me back to when I was 10 years old. I don't freaking know what I was doing when I was 10. Do you guys remember when you were 10? So I have from 10 till 50, this amount of time to live again. I want them to be good years. I want them to be healthy. I want to remember them. I want to be involved with my family. And so think of it that way. That's a really aspirational thought process to think about your future. By the way, one quick question. How many of you have a birthday every year? Only a few of you? Okay, because people who have the most birthdays live the longest, so people in here are doing great. You guys are doing great. Okay, so I started actually as a journalist and still am a journalist. I really can't see these, so yeah, here I go. I graduated from college in 1983. I went to college in 1979. There was no such thing as the internet. Many of you can relate to that. I went to school at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I sat down with a counselor, and they said, "What do you want to do?" And I knew I loved fitness. Fitness was not a career path. Fitness wasn't even really a thing because, you know, Title IX had just happened and girls were participating in sports, and I was in track. I was on the track team. I knew I loved to run. There were no gyms. Nobody had a state-of-the-art facility to work out in at universities. We didn't have health clubs that we belonged to. But I knew I loved fitness, and the counselor said, well, pick a career path. That's not a career path. Oh, okay. So I decided on journalism, which was a great decision because I love to communicate. Can you tell? I'm never short for words. I enjoyed my time at the University of Wisconsin. I loved journalism. We were on typewriters at the time, and paper and pencil, which my kids can't even, what? Paper and pencil? And, you know, so I took that path, and I graduated with a journalism degree, and I was really into it. And I moved to Minneapolis because my husband had graduated before me. He's also a Badger, and he was living up here. And I thought, Minnesota, I'm from Wisconsin. Do I have to go farther north? But I love it here. We've been here for 30 years. And I started in the direct mail industry. That was where I found my first full-time job up here in Minneapolis. And I remember telling my parents too, you know, I was a straight A student. I was valedictorian in my high school graduating class. I was like that person who had to have all A's in college. My kids don't seem to have that same feeling. But I graduated from college and I said to my parents, I'm moving to Minneapolis. I didn't even have a job. I was moving here because my husband lived here. Nowadays, if your kid's graduating from college and you say, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just moving to follow a guy. You'd be apoplectic. You'd be like, well, what? You're doing what? Get a job. But my parents were like, yeah, okay, great. They knew I'd get a job. So direct mail, here I come. Do you remember catalogs, you guys? That was our guilty pleasure, catalogs. Now it's online shopping. So that was my industry, and I loved it, and I got to meet a couple different people, an entrepreneur in particular that I worked with for about 4 or 5 years that really inspired me into entrepreneurship. I never would have thought that that was what I would do. But fitness was always my hashtag side hustle. Any of you guys work with millennials? I just learned that word. I have 4 millennials that work for me. I didn't know that every millennial has a hashtag side hustle. Yes, it's a thing. So my side hustle was teaching aerobics at night. I loved it. I loved the energy of group. I moved to Minneapolis. It was my first time at a health club. I joined a health club. I got certified teaching group fitness. I knew that that's what I loved. I love the energy of other people. I love to motivate people. I can't stop smiling. It was just a great thing for me. And so I was doing that in the evenings, and I got married when I was 24. I had a baby when I was 26. And as our lives were kind of moving along, and my husband works in commercial real estate, really busy as he was getting his business started. Fitness just started really becoming my passion, and I decided, could I make the switch from what I was doing for my day job and make fitness my day job? In the meantime, and many of you can maybe remember this, back in the early 90s, Nautilus hit health clubs. Before that, women didn't go in the weight room and pick up weights. It just wasn't really a thing for most women. But when Nautilus hit the health clubs, there were, people were using machines. We were using machines, and women were starting to lift weights. And I thought, I could be a personal trainer. I love this. So I got certified as a personal trainer. And for over a decade, that's what I did. I quit my day job, made personal training my job. I trained in my home all day long. I trained moms, I trained people in the morning. As a matter of fact, it's kind of funny. I run into people every so often, and they're like, I used to work out with you in your basement. You did? I don't remember. I trained a lot of people, and I loved it, and it was great. But after a while, I was able to marry my journalism back with my fitness, which has been my dream job, and something I wouldn't have known that I was going to do, run a digital business, as Paul mentioned. So I run 2 websites, Get Healthy You and Get Healthy You TV, which is the membership side, and that's been thrilling for me. We reach over 2 million women a month, and that's my main business now. But it took me a while to get there. So after I was personal training for a while, I started to realize that, and people would say to me, Chris, I wish I could take you home with me. I wish I could do your workouts at home. I started thinking, bingo, how can I do that? Because back in the day, as a personal trainer, we wrote things on carbon copy paper, and then you'd rip off the sheet and hand it to the client as they were walking out the door. Here's your carbon copy of your workout. Wow, have things come a long way, right? So that is when I made my first fitness video. I financed it myself. It was a big leap of faith for me. There's another F. And I got it into a catalog. Back then, VHS tapes were sold in catalogs. Not even online, it was a catalog. And I got my VHS tape in a catalog here in Minneapolis. As a matter of fact, a wonderful woman who ran the largest fitness catalog in the country, still runs a business here in Brooklyn Park. And I literally went and knocked on her door and I said, hey, I'm a local gal, would you put my VHS tape in your catalog? And she said, yeah, I will. I love to support local talent. And I got lucky that a bunch of national companies bought my tape because they were looking for a fitness expert to do their next VHS tapes. So I hooked up with Prevention Magazine, I hooked up with Anchor Bay, I hooked up with Exercise TV, and I started making dozens and dozens of fitness videos, starting in the early 2000s. So we went from VHS tape to DVD. I then wrote a book, shopped it in New York by myself I had a book agent with me. We sold it to Penguin Press. That was my first book. My next books were with Rodale Press, or Rodale Publishing. So I just kind of kept this ball rolling, and it was really fun. And then the internet was born. The internet was born. And so I started really getting into, and people were putting up their own websites. So I put up a website. Who remembers when websites were stagnant? They were just like, nothing happened on a website. You just put it up, and then you didn't have to do anything with it. And then all of a sudden, no, now you have to blog. You have to blog. People want to see change on that homepage every day. So I got into blogging. Anyway, fast forward, that's how my digital business began. Just a couple years ago, I started to realize that people don't have VHS players anymore. And then I realized people don't have DVD players anymore. My kids were like, Mom, nobody has a DVD player. So I decided to start a streaming service. And even just 2 years ago, I was just telling somebody this at the table, that 2 years ago, when I would tell people I was running a streaming service for workouts, they'd be like, huh, what? Like, what do you mean? How do you do that? And I'd have to explain, well, here's what you do. You log in, and then you do this, and it's on the internet, and blah, blah, blah. Now I just tell people I run a streaming service for workouts. You can just be a member and join, and oh, I get it. So technology is changing very, very quickly. So that's a little bit about how I got where I am. So now I have 4 millennials who work for me, and I love them to death. They're amazing. And I work with a marketing company that helps me manage my streaming service. So fitness. Fitness has always been a passion of mine. I love exercising. But I realize that most of you, let's be honest, how many of you hate to exercise? Just be honest. Yeah, at least like a third to half of the room, I get it. People don't love it. I understand that. And so I like to change the word to movement. And thank you to all these activity trackers. Movement is really the key. It doesn't have to be this full-on crazy workout. It doesn't have to be in a gym. It doesn't have to be with a machine or doing, running 10 miles in a straight line. It is about just moving your body. And so, like I said, fitness is just a part of health. So here's what I want you to think about. Your health is your wealth. Without health, you have nothing. And health is I call it the 3 M's. This is how I look at fitness, if you will. It's mindset, meals, and movement. The 3 M's, okay? Because it starts in the mind. When I start working with people, first thing we talk about is the mindset. Because if you don't have a good mindset, if you aren't really fully committed to this, it's not gonna work. How many of you have started and stopped a program before? A diet or an exercise program? Be honest, right? Why do we do that? Why do Americans fail at the fitness thing? Why do you think? Yeah, we quit. Well, we quit because we have been trained to think that fast results is what we want. Aspirational thinking, as Paul is going to be talking about in this series coming up, is about thinking big and setting a goal long term and thinking, I want to reach that. But when it comes to fitness, people are like, 2 weeks, flat abs, 2 weeks. I want to lose 10 pounds next month. I want to, it's like, I want to do this quick. And I'm a realist. It doesn't happen like that. If you're coming to me to tell me, can you help me lose 10 pounds in the next month? Probably not. Probably not, because it took you more than a month to put the 10 pounds on. It's going to take you more than a month probably to get it off in the right way. in the right way. So what fitness really is a series of habits. Health is a series of habits. It's not what you're on or what you're off. You know, when people come to me and say, can you just tell me what to eat? Just tell me what to eat for a month and I'll do it. No, because you'll probably eat what I tell you to eat for a month. Most people can sustain that kind of misery, right? But after the month, what are you going to do? You're going to go back to your old habits because you know no better. So my passion, and you can tell I'm a little passionate about this. I don't need these because I'm not even looking at them. My passion is knowledge. Knowledge is power. What you don't know can hurt you. So if you don't understand your mind, if you don't understand food and what you're putting in your body, if you don't understand movement and fitness, you're not going to be able to reach those goals. So I'm all about getting to know, like, understand what you're putting in your body. What are you eating and why are you eating it? And how could you change your eating habits? And then it has to be over time. It's not really a quick fix. It's about forming those habits over time that make the difference. So when it comes to fitness, I just mentioned the 3 M's, and I could talk all day about mindset, meals, and movement. And by the way, I talk about it in that order. Being a fitness expert, fitness consultant, speaker, you'd think the first thing I'm going to talk about is exercise. But quite frankly, exercise is the last part of it. Because if you don't get the mindset and the meals organized and thinking properly, you could, like I said, exercise all day long and it's not going to make a difference. So it's all 3 of those things put together. But when I talk about fitness, I talk about the 4 C's. Okay, so let's talk about the first C when it comes to starting some sort of a movement program, and it is commitment. Commitment is the #1 C. You have to have a goal. Now, you guys are all leaders in this room, so you set goals regularly. And we were just talking about that aspirational thinking. So you set those goals, and so what are they? So maybe it's weight loss. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, my doctor has told me my cholesterol is high, my health numbers are out of control, I need to lose weight. And typically when people say I want to lose weight, what they're really saying is I want to lose fat, right? Yeah, because you're not trying to lose muscle or bone, you're trying to lose fat. That's what weight loss is. So maybe that's something. Maybe your health numbers are out of control. You went to the doctor, your cholesterol's up, your blood sugar's up, your blood pressure's up. You can get those things all in control through eating and movement. You absolutely can. Maybe you have a bucket list that you want to run a marathon, or you want to go do a race, or you're going to do something aspirational with a group or a family. I was just talking to my lovely friend Julie over there. We're talking about a walk that's coming up that a whole group of friends are participating in that's a charity walk that's really awesome. So maybe you're going to train for something. I wanted to run a marathon once in my life. Once in my life is what I wanted to do. I did it once in the year 2000. I trained with a girlfriend. At the time, it was great for us because our kids were little. My oldest was 8 at the time. And it was like we got out of the house and we could use the excuse of training runs and be gone for a long period of time. And it was super fun. And my girlfriend, she is a marathoner. She's run like 50 marathons. So she was a great training partner for me. And it was awesome. So we're running this marathon in year 2000. This was my goal. It was on my bucket list. It was one of the coldest marathons in the Twin Cities. Gloves, hat, everything, the whole 6 miles. And so we're running along, and I told my husband at the time, bring the kids out. It's a good example for them to see people running and doing these kinds of things. And so, of course, if any of you have been to the Twin Cities Marathon, I'm sure you have, it's tons of people and tons of stuff going on. And back in 2000, we didn't have cell phones, so you couldn't tell them exactly where you were. So they were going to be at mile 18 and meet us. So at mile 18, we're going about this fast. Any of you relate to that? We're going pretty slow. My kids have already seen a couple thousand people pass. And it's really cold, and so we're just kind of limping by, and I waved to my kids. I got a big smile, and my husband said, my oldest turned to him at that time and said, Dad, there's no way Mom's going to win this race. Because an 8-year-old thinks, why would you run a race if you weren't trying to win it? But that wasn't my goal. That wasn't my goal. So own your goals. You have to own your goals. So commitment is the #1. #2 is convenience. Now, we have gotten better on that convenience thing. But I got to tell you, 10, 15 years ago, I couldn't believe what people would tell me they were going to do. I'm going to drive across the city 45 miles. I'm going to jump in a pool. Then I'm going to do this. That's not convenient. You have to pick something you love. And with the birth of the internet and all of the things that we have going on with health clubs on every corner and the use of YouTube and everything, people make fitness a little more convenient nowadays, but that's really important. When you're putting together some sort of a movement program, and I like to use that word movement because like I said, there's no right way to get from point A to point B. People will come to me and say, well, I can't run, my knees are shot. Okay. You don't have to run to do fitness. You could walk. You could bike, you could swim, you could do a class, you could do Pilates, you can do yoga, you can do, you can lift weights. I mean, there's so many things to do. You could dance, whatever it is that you like to do, just move your body. We could all start doing jumping jacks, and no, I'm not gonna have you do that. But that's a way to just get your body moving, so whatever it takes. So convenience is number 2. Number 3, menopause. Ugh. I've talked about this a million times. Consistency. Oh, how could I forget that? That's the big one. Consistency. That's what I was talking about with habits. So people start and stop all the time. So I want you to really think in your head right now. What could you do long term? Because like I said earlier, if you have another 40 years to live, if you're my age and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've got another 40 years is a lot of time. What can you sustain? What can you sustain in your lifestyle? You know, maybe you don't have an hour and a half every day to work out. I don't either. So what can you fit in? I had a girlfriend tell me the other day, she said, Chris, when I go to your website, the first thing I want to do is I want to search. The minute my kids go out the door, I say to myself, I have a half hour, or I have 45 minutes, or I have 20 minutes, and I want to just search. I want to find a 20-minute workout. I want to get it done while I have that time and move on. So you've got to be consistent. Create a plan that works over the course of 2 days, 5 days, 7 days, a month, a year. Be kind to yourself. You're going to have some hiccups. There's going to be forks in the road. Do I exercise every single day? No. Do my joints hurt? Yes. Am I, getting older and noticing that I have to change the way I exercise? Absolutely. I completely teach classes and do things differently at 51 versus when I was 25. That's a given. If you need to stay low impact, find something that's low impact, but find something that you can sustain over time. It's not about coming out of the gates and killing yourself, excuse me. And the last last C is my favorite one, and that's community. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, people love to engage. People love engagement. We love reinforcement, positive reinforcement, that we're doing good. I've always believed in coaching from a positive point of view. I've never been a believer in negative reinforcement with the people I've worked with. Move your lazy butt, that doesn't do anything for me. I believe in the, yes, you can, which is kind of funny. I guess that kind of became my saying, and I didn't realize I was always saying it. I say it in my videos, I say it everywhere. And a girlfriend gave me a framed poster of yes, you can for my house. I was like, wow, I must say that a lot. But I really believe in that positive reinforcement and finding your community. Is it a spouse? Is it your spouse who you're going to work out with? Is it a girlfriend, or are you going to? A lot of guys like to play team sports. Are you going to walk with a coworker at lunch? Are you going to take a group fitness class? Are you going to do something with your kids? Are you going to join an online community? What are you going to do to find that community? Because people are more successful when they work together, right? We're all leaders in this room, so we know that you are more successful when you work together. So think about those 4 C's when it comes to your movement program, okay? So the overlying thing is health. We got to get our mindset, our meals, and our movement in order. And then when it comes to the movement, you got to think, first of all, you got to have that goal, that first goal, right? Then you got to think of something convenient, consistency, and community. And I could talk all day long about fitness, but we've run out of time, and I know you guys have to get to work. But I hope that I've motivated you to say, yes, you can. Yes, you can start somewhere. Allow yourself to be a beginner. Allow yourself to start with baby steps. Don't think that you have to come out of the gate. I know the one last thing I wanted to mention, beyond the quick fix, like I was saying, why do Americans not make it happen with their fitness? Why is fitness the lowest F on everyone's wheel? Is fear. There's that other F. Fear is a driver of inactivity. And when we feel fearful of something, and a lot of people are very fearful of not achieving their fitness goals, because you go to work and you've got these goals, but not everybody is going to know where you are if you've achieved those goals or where you are on a piece of paper. But people can tell whether you lost weight or not, right? If you set that goal out, like I'm losing 50 pounds, and then you don't, people know you didn't do it. Or if you go to the doctor and every year they say, your cholesterol is dangerous, we got to get you on some meds or whatever it might be. You can't run away from that. And people fear that they can't get there, so they just say, well, no, it's my genetics. I can't do it. It's just who I am. But I always say genetics loads your gun, environment pulls your trigger. It's what you eat, it's what you think, it's what you do. You are absolutely in charge of your body and your health. So think about it. Try to overcome that fear. Take those baby steps, be a beginner, and allow yourself to start on some sort of a program to get that F on your wheel a little higher so it rolls smoothly. Thank you so much for having me here today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. So as I promised, there's a table discussion. You can see I took a lot of notes. On the bottom of your the center panel, there's a table discussion question, which is, how does your satisfaction with fitness affect your leadership? How does your satisfaction with fitness affect your leadership? It's time for you to have a roundtable discussion with your new friends. Ready, set, go. Hey friends, hello again. Chris, I have to confess that on my trip home from Detroit on Wednesday, I was reading in Delta Sky magazine. The feature this month is on men's health and fitness. And it talked about how, right here, about how men are just terrible. Most men don't go to the doctor. They don't actually think at all about fitness until something hurts. And I was like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, geez, you know, so I'm envious about how many women in my life are taking their fitness so carefully. You talk about yourself as someone who helps, you know, women think about fitness, but just talk for a second for all of us who aren't women, and just give us one more sense of encouragement about what we should be doing, us middle-aged men.
Well, quite frankly, my live classes, I teach at Lifetime Fitness. I have for 19 years. I teach at 5:30 in the morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we get about literally 80 to 100 people packed into the gym. In the gym, and a lot of them are the same people, and half of them are men. Half of them are men that come to class. So I think, you know, the same thing happens for men and women hormonally, that the weight starts to add up in the middle as we get older. But what happens is loss of muscle. I mean, that's the big thing. As we age, starting at about the age of 35, for men and women, we start to lose muscle, about a half a pound to a pound a year if we are not actively replacing it. So if you had muscle because you were active as a kid or you were in sports, and then you stop working out completely, and as that muscle starts to deteriorate, you obviously gain weight, and it tends to go to the middle based on the fact that we're stressed out as we get older, so we got a lot of cortisol, eating habits, those things contribute. So if you can keep some muscle on your body, you know, beyond just getting the heart pumping, which is a whole nother conversation, you need to do that for heart health. Muscle is the secret to burning more calories every single day. While you're just sitting here, muscle is the secret to mobility as we age. I always like to remind people as we're getting older, motion is lotion. So if your joints are starting to ache, which believe me, I get up in the morning, my husband and I get up in the morning, we're like, okay. I mean, my back hurts, my ankles hurt, whatever it might be. But when you start to get some motion in those joints, you feel better. So if every single day you get range of motion in your joints, they're going to last longer.
Muscle. Yeah, okay, so we look at you as a leader. Successful mom, wife, business owner. Can you talk about how you make all that work?
Sometimes better than others.
Yeah.
My kids are all now grown, so my oldest is 25. Our daughter's 23. They're out of the house, and our youngest is 20. And actually last night, he's home just for another week. And I said, you know, you're getting up and coming to the breakfast tomorrow. He goes, what breakfast?
Yeah.
It's at 7. You're coming with me. He goes, I'm not coming to a breakfast at 7.
Yeah, that's right.
So college students. But, you know, I have just always been passionate about trying to make it all work. I always loved my job. I've always loved, I love to motivate people. I feel like it's a gift I was given, and I want to use it. I like to help people see that they're worthy of taking care of themselves, and understand that just because your fun and your fitness and your fun and your family and your friends are up here doesn't mean your fitness has to be down here. Your wheel doesn't have to be lopsided. You can love fitness and have a ton of fun with your friends and family. You just have to make it all kind of work. I think something else is being really realistic, is that you have to be flexible in your approach. So steadfast in your goals, but flexible in your approach. So there have been days, weeks, where I've been like, oh my gosh, I can't even fit in a workout. I'm so tired. I'm traveling, my kids, this is happening, that's happening, whatever might be going on. But you always get back in the saddle because you created that habit.
Well, after I met you again about 18 months ago, one of the things that changed in my life, spent a lot of time in airports, is I don't use those walking things. I make sure I walk instead of the moving walkway, and you know what? At least I feel better about that. We really struggled to find a time for you to speak in the winter because you are following your son around who's a hockey player. Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, interesting, how you make decisions in your professional life and your personal life. So our youngest son plays for the Wisconsin Badgers men's hockey team. He's going to be a junior this year. Obviously, I told you my husband and I are Badgers. We have a W painted. No, I'm kidding. We don't.
Yeah.
But so we love it. And since he's our youngest, we made a commitment to go to all the games. So we do, like literally every Friday through Sunday, October through March, I'm gone. And I wouldn't change it for the world. But something that did happen is I was working at QVC, if any of you have been up in the middle of the night and changing channels. For 6 years, I worked at QVC. I loved it. It was a great run. I had my own line of healthy kitchen products that I sold. And when our son committed to University of Wisconsin, I knew that this was going to come to an end because I worked on Sundays at QVC. I would fly out there Saturday nights, work there on Sundays. And so I was like, I have to make the decision. Am I going to go to his hockey games or am I going to continue this? So I quit. I left, and I kind of had a rollout of I had a year to get rid of my inventory. And everyone was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you giving this up? Why would you do that? And I'm like, because I will never regret going to the hockey games and following my family, over something in my professional life. So that was a decision that I made.
So, there you go. 7 Fs, right? Yeah, good job. So, what have you learned about yourself as a leader by building an entrepreneurial business, working with all these people you work with? Let's talk about what you've learned about yourself as a leader.
Well, I'm a super positive person. I don't love having a lot of negative conflict. So that's hard as a leader because, you have to, especially like I said, I have 4 full-time employees that I have to manage. And so there's good, bad, and, that goes in with managing people, right? Something I learned in college in Psychology 101, this has always stuck with me, is, first of all, nothing positive, nothing productive can happen when experiencing negative emotions. So if you are negative, if you are pissed off, envious, jealous, mad, whatever it might be, you are non-productive. So when you have those days where you say, I got nothing done today, check your emotion. Check your emotion level because it's probably you were in the wrong emotional state. You have to be in positive emotional state. So I always put that upon my family and my employees like, hey, we have to change everything. We have to be in a positive environment to be productive. So we have to get rid of the negative energy and change it to positive energy. That's one thing. The other thing I learned in psychology is always deliver a positive before a negative. This was a very valuable class I took as a freshman.
Yeah, there you go.
But so whenever I approach things, and my personal opinion on anything I do, even in fitness, when I work with clients, is never to come from the negative quickly because people get on the defense then and they don't like to be attacked. Nobody does. I don't either. So if you can always deliver something, even with my kids or with my employees per se, where I can deliver them a positive, I really love that you're doing this, this, and that, but here's where I want to see a change. And this is where I want to change it. So that's been something I've learned as a leader is to try to keep that positive energy, even when you're discussing something that maybe is a little uncomfortable, because that's going to help you be productive and create a productive outcome.
Yeah, okay, good. Well, last question. This entire environment we create here is about this idea, lifting up this idea that goodness pays. So how has goodness paid for you in your journey and in your endeavors?
Well, I just feel like, what you give, you get back, right? So the energy you put out in the world is what you get back. And, I teach these fitness classes. I have for 19 years. I absolutely love it. I smile at everybody. I can't help it. That's just who I am. I just smile all the time. I say hello to strangers. I try to pump everybody up in the class the best I can. I'm always trying to give them that positive reinforcement so that my goal is that people walk out of the door and feel accomplished or feel good about themselves or whatever I offer online, whatever it might be. And then it comes back to you. It just does. Goodness pays, where all of a sudden other people are good to you or good things happen. I believe in energy and I believe in karma, and I guess I feel better about myself and sleep better when I know that I've done good to others.
Very well said. Thank you so much for joining us at the Good Leadership Breakfast.
Thank you.
Outstanding.